Thank you, Madam Chair. I would join Mr. Green, Ranking Member Meeks, Ms. Baloney, Mr. Fitzpatrick, piling on my concern with Basel III. I too hear constantly from my community banks what impact this potential rule will have on them. And I guess first off, do we have a timeline on when we think the rule is going to come out?
So we're working diligently with the other regulators to finalize the process as soon as possible. We know that the uncertainty of delays, what that means to institutions.
Do we have anything more specific than we're working on it?
I do not.
Fair enough. And I know you're not going to comment on the rule. I think it was Mr. Fitzpatrick who talked about exempting our community banks, which I think is reasonable, but if it's not an exemption, maybe a tiered structure would at least be considered for our smaller community banks. Maybe just one other point. If you look at the conversation we're having today, the difficulty of our community banks with the burdensome regulations that are being piled upon them, and we look forward to Basel III and QM, the burden isn't getting lighter, it's getting heavier. And so hopefully you will all take that into consideration as we try to make sure we have a structure in place that allows a healthy and vibrant community bank structure across the country. So I didn't want to pile on, but I guess I did. I want to quickly move over to new charters. I know it was touched on, I think, by the chairwoman. But listen, we haven't had any new charters in 2012, right? In 2011, we had 3, and in 2010, we had 9. So as we move away from the financial crisis, we didn't have a bottom, and then it started to recover. We actually have continually gone down since the crisis. Is there an explanation for why that's taking place, why we haven't, bottomed out and have come up since the crisis?
I would say that the industry lags the economy in terms of its overall condition and performance, and so I think that that's what you're seeing is that we've hit 0, and we would anticipate that we would move up from here as the industry is starting to improve. We would expect to see additional activity or new activity.
And if you look at the recession in the early 90s, we never bottomed out, never came to 0, and maybe there's a difference between a recession and a financial crisis. Is that the answer?
Yes, the new charters have always been highly cyclical. This has been a particularly severe cycle with regard to the effect on the financial industry and their customers, and so I think that explains some of the severity of this cycle. There were nearly 5,000 new charters for the industry during the period of our study, and we anticipate that chartering activity will pick up with the economy and with the recovery of the industry.
So do you think it's more the cycle and the crisis as opposed to the new rules and regulations that have come from Dodd-Frank and others?
Well, our experience through history is that it has been highly cyclical, so we would anticipate a rebound.
But is it this cyclical in the sense that when we're 4 years, 3 years from the crisis, we've not started to recover and come up? We're actually still going down.
Well, as was indicated, the performance of the industry tends to lag the recovery of the economy. The recovery of the economy itself has been somewhat muted, again, owing to the severity of the financial crisis.
Okay. And I wanted to give a few minutes or a minute and a half back to the gentleman from Georgia, so I'd yield my time to him.